All right, here we go. I've got a variety of things to cover. I've got some weekend race results. There's some local stuff, fat bike, and then some UCI cyclocross going on. And then I've got a few things where race registrations opening up in this week or did over the past week, and then some races that probably are coming up in the next weekend to cover. And then I don't really want this to be all like just race report type stuff, but whatever else it kind of comes up, we'll kind of chat about too. So drop your topics. Thursday, I've covered some, bike tech type of stuff and that type of thing. And then we'll talk about kind of business, what's going on in the bike shop. I guess maybe I'll cover that really quick first before we get into the race stuff. Tire kicking's kind of happening. Starting to move some bikes for the season. People kind of getting ahead of it. If they're not pulling the trigger on bikes yet, starting to kick tires, figure out the right bike, that type of thing. And in case we have to order something or something like that, I think sometimes people like to get ahead of it. Well, maybe there's still a little bit of that carryover from back during the COVID supply chain type of thing when people had to get ahead of what they wanted on new bikes and that type of thing. But the interesting thing about it is we still have stuff that's not here yet for the season, but we know what it is. So there's, if there's something new coming and somebody's in looking at bikes and that's something they might be interested in, then we're going to talk to them about that, right? Because they're not in a hurry to get a bike yet because, we got a couple months left before ride season, especially if you're a mountain biker. You probably have, so the start of February, you got February, March. You're probably into April, so we got 2 to 3 months before you're going to hit a trail, probably. But roadies, gravel riders, get to it a little bit sooner. But anyway, and some cool stuff. We got some moots, a couple moots frames on the way. Got a custom build going that's sold to put together for somebody. Going to be a pretty sweet GRX build. We're going to build a set of wheels for it as well with some matching Chris King hubs. And then we're building one up for the floor as well. And that should be pretty cool. Got some new stuff from Bianchi come in. The new aluminum Architects. I kind of flashed a little teaser out on Facebook, but I've got a few more of those we got to pull out of boxes, get built up, and I'm excited about those. They're going to be a good price point aluminum adventure gravel bike, kind of an all-arounder gravel bike, and the price point is good. It's got a solid drivetrain on it, 1x12 Shimano, and it's in the low $2,000 range on a Bianchi, and the Geo's good on it. So, but anyway, so races. There's events, whatever it is, but the some registrations that opened up last week, and I think there's more of this, but this is something just really quick I'd kind of try to pull up. But Gravel Worlds registration opened up. There's a big prize purse there for that this year. Sorry, I am losing my voice. I don't really know why, but I spent the whole weekend, for the most part, once we got out of the shop Saturday, my kids were out on the ice fishing, and so Lynn and I met up with them, and we spent all Saturday afternoon, night on the ice, and then I ended up back out on the ice again Sunday afternoon till evening. We brought home a whole bunch of crappie, a pike, some a perch, so mostly crappie, and we had a pretty good catch. Got a couple nights worth of dinner for a family of 4. So, but anyway, so Gravel Worlds registration. There's this one that I hadn't heard about in the past. I'm gonna have to add it to my list. But Stonewall Century, and then there's this Bentonville Bike Fest, and all kinds of races and that type of thing. That might be like a June thing, but there's some UCI stuff coming up in Bentonville in March as well. That is like UCI Juniors, I believe. There's a bunch of CX. It's kind of like the US Pro Tour type stuff. Then let's see what else we've got here. That's registrations open up. Coming up, there's a few things that there's this bike race called Fatathlon, fat bike race over in Wisconsin that I believe is next weekend. Icy River Rampage, Eagle River, Wisconsin next weekend, I believe. There's a race called Assault on Curry Mountain, gravel race. I've heard of that one in the past. That is next weekend down in Georgia, I believe. And then a race called the Lit Wizzy in Texas next weekend. So there's we're about a month out. I think we're about 5 weeks out from Valley of Tears, I think it is, gravel race down in Texas. That's kind of a big, seems to have turned into kind of an opener for a bunch of the North American pros. So we'll be watching that. Last week, so let me pull up some race results here. I'll hit some local stuff and then touch on a few other things. Not all of this stuff I really follow that closely, but it is kind of interesting to pull it open. So there is, let's see. Let's hit Arrowhead because that actually happened like earlier in the week. That's a 135-mile point-to-point, way up north Minnesota, super cold. I think I might have seen some stuff as like minus 18 at the start potentially. But here's your results for that race. See, the winner, unsupported, was just under 16 and a half hours. Sage Seifert. Yeah, pretty good group of racers in there. You always see Ryan Haug at a lot of that stuff. Let's see, Kate Coward was in there. And Leah Grun. They're always at a bunch of these fat bike races. Let's see. And first, Kate Coward was the first for the women. Let's see, what else happened? There's a fat bike race over in Wisconsin. It's a series called Hugh Jass Fat Bike Series. I didn't see a lot of results for it, so maybe they're not updated yet. So kind of jumping around here. There was a fat bike race in Minneapolis this weekend by the Loppet Foundation. I think that usually gets a pretty good showing. I haven't been doing any fat bike stuff in a couple of years, but here's your overall results for the men and women on that. Peter Olenjak, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Joel LaFrance, Sean Cooley. You get a lot. This is like a local Minnesota race, and but some pretty big hitters there. And then if you get like the women, Emily Flynn won that. I know Emily. That's awesome. So that was a Kathleen. There's a pretty big showing for the local women at the race. So that's another fat bike race that's going on or did happen. There's something out in Colorado that happened as well. And I'm just kind of blowing through a bunch of these. So Old Man Winter. This is, I think, a gravel race. I came across this one last year and it was kind of intriguing to me, interesting. And I think it can be just a complete variety of weather that can happen at it. But not a massive field. So looked like there was like 18 women that showed up to it. And then for the men, pretty sizable field for this time of year for a race. So, and it looks like, you're a little over 3 hours of time on that. But anyways, it's always kind of interesting to see who's out, who shows up. So I've kind of got some notes here that I kicked out. And then let's see what else. There was the UCI Cyclocross World Championships. And notable on here, let's just check out the live timing. Matthew Vanderpool, of course. I don't follow cyclocross a ton. But for the women, Lucinda Brand, and I believe that is her second world title, and that is after a crash during the race as well, from my understanding. Let's see what else we've got. So this is the under 23 men, I believe. Yes, and then we've got the women under 23. Again, there's a few Americans over there. So junior men. There's some good cyclocrossers in the U.S. in the juniors that we may see showing up over at these in the next few years. So, all right. So the other event that happened is this Cadell Evans event. And I was actually struggling to find, the race results are kind of scattered around, but I think this is kind of like a punchy kind of spring classic type of thing, I think. But anyway, I don't have a lot of notes on that one, but that was something that popped open into my my feed that I noticed. So, but anyway, if you watch this, thanks. And we're about 15 minutes in, so I'll shut it down unless a question pops up or somebody pops in and wants to chat about some other stuff. Things that we got going on for the week, like I said, to review is getting bikes together. Services is we'd gotten a little bit behind on service. A couple weeks ago, we were a little short with service staff for about a week and a half. Kind of start like winter regular, like part-time guys. And then, so we kind of getting caught back up on that, but lots of like fork service and pretty like heavy overhaul type of stuff going on. So, but anyway, as time goes on with these, we'll kind of transition these Mondays into if there's some races to talk about that are notable, and I'll kind of figure that out over time, how that goes, and then kind of just some shop update stuff going on for the week, interesting things that maybe happened the previous week, that type of thing. So, but anyways, if you have any specific stuff you want to chat about, hit it up. If it's not something we're going to talk about in this one, then I'll put it on the topics for the next one, which would be Thursday. Kind of planning to schedule these 10:30 on Mondays and Thursdays, and it's open chat. Whatever topic comes up, whatever we want to chat about. Like I said, if it's races that happen, upcoming races, tech stuff, business stuff, whatever. So bike shop related. So otherwise, anyway, if I don't see you here today or later this week, have a great week. If you're not local and following along, that's awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks. Send us your notes, comments, whatever